Two cars in the driveway at a backyard barbecue. One is a leased Audi, 18 months old, parked at an angle so the badge catches the porch light. The other is a Toyota Camry with a small dent above the rear wheel. The guy who owns the Audi has been talking about his crypto wins since he arrived. The guy with the Camry has been asking about everyone's kids. By the end of the night, nobody at that barbecue will know that the Camry guy has more money than the rest of the guests combined. He prefers it that way. And there's a reason for that preference. A reason worth understanding before your next paycheck hits, because the behavior gap between those two men is also the gap between looking rich and being rich, and most people are picking the wrong side of it without realizing. Two different things keep getting confused with each other. There's performing wealth, spending money in ways other people can see, so they treat you a certain way. And there's having wealth, the slow, unsexy math of money sitting inside an account, growing on its own. Those two pull in opposite directions. Every dollar spent on the first one is a dollar that can't do the second. A researcher named Thomas Stanley spent decades surveying actual millionaires for a book called The Millionaire Next Door. Net worth, in case it's a fuzzy term, that's just what you own minus what you owe. He found something that shouldn't have been surprising but somehow always is. The people with seven-figure net worths tended to live in ordinary houses on ordinary streets. They drove cars that were paid off, sometimes for 10 years running. Most had never set foot in a private school. The flashy ones, the ones who looked the part, were usually performing. The fashion world has its own name for this: quiet luxury. No logos, no monograms, nothing on the outside that tells you who made it. A cashmere coat that costs 4 figures and looks, to most people, like a coat. The point isn't that nobody can tell. The point is that the only people who can tell are the ones who already know, and those are the only ones whose opinion mattered to begin with. So why won't a man with money talk about it? Start with the obvious answer and then throw it out. Because the obvious answer is wrong. The obvious answer is modesty. That's not really it. Modesty is a virtue. What's actually going on is closer to a strategy. Talking about money invites 4 things into a person's life, and none of them are useful. Judgment, from people who think you have too much. Envy, from people who think you have more than them. Requests for loans, from family members who suddenly remember they exist. And unsolicited advice from people who couldn't manage a checking account. None of those 4 make anyone richer. They just make life heavier. The quietly rich man figured out, usually after one painful loan that never came back, that silence is cheaper than any of those conversations. There's a second reason, and it has to do with how money actually grows. Compounding. That's the word for money making money, which then makes more money on top of itself, year after year. Over 30 years, it turns small contributions into something that looks impossible on paper. But the day-to-day version of compounding is unbelievably boring. A man who put $500 a month into an index fund for 30 years, an index fund being a basket of stocks that tracks the whole market instead of trying to pick winners, that man has no story to tell at dinner. His secret is that he didn't do anything dramatic. Year 1, he saved. Year 2, he saved. Year 3, he saved. There's no plot, nothing to brag about, so he doesn't. The third reason is the one that matters most for anyone watching this. It's a behavior called lifestyle creep. The habit of spending more every single time income goes up. New job, nicer apartment. Promotion, leased car. Bonus, vacation that wipes the bonus out. Lifestyle creep is the single biggest reason people on 6-figure salaries are still broke at 50. The quietly rich fight it on purpose. He gets a raise, the car stays the same. He gets promoted, the apartment stays the same. The gap between what comes in and what goes out is the engine of everything. He protects that gap like it's the only thing he owns. Because in a real way, It is. Now here's the turning point most people miss. The instinct says rich people are private because they're being polite. They're not. They're private because privacy is a tool. Money attracts attention. Attention attracts asks. Asks corrode the relationships that actually mattered to him before any of this started. Once a friendship has a money question inside it, it's not the same friendship. He learned that early, so he stopped giving people the information. There's a sharper version of this. Watch any room. The loudest person about money is almost always the most anxious about theirs. The man who needs you to know about the watch is telling you something about the watch's job in his life. It's doing emotional work. A man whose money is doing financial work doesn't need it to also do emotional work, so he can leave it alone. There's a fourth piece. Assets versus liabilities. Asset, something that puts money in your pocket while you sleep. A share of stock that pays a dividend, a property that earns rent, a business that runs without you in the room. Liability, something that takes money out. A car payment, a designer bag, a kitchen renovation done for the photo. He doesn't avoid spending. He avoids spending on liabilities dressed up as status. There's a difference, and most people never get clear on it because the marketing is built to keep them confused. Be careful here, though, because there's a version of this that turns into a different kind of mistake. Stacking money for its own sake isn't the goal. The quietly rich also spend. They spend on a good mattress because 8 hours a night isn't optional. On the long-haul flight with extra legroom because the body remembers. On a meal with the 4 people who actually matter to him. None of that gets photographed. None of it has a logo. But the money is doing work he can feel. That's the test. Not whether to spend, but whether the spending is for him or for an audience. A piece of intellectual honesty before going further. This whole frame assumes there's something left over at the end of the month. The financial term for that is margin. If rent and food and the basics already eat the entire paycheck, no amount of stealth wealth philosophy fixes the math. The work then is income, not optics. Anyone selling you the millionaire next door mindset as a substitute for earning more is selling you a story. The market also doesn't care how quiet you are. Stocks fall. Inflation, meaning the slow loss of buying power as prices rise, eats into savings every year, sometimes by 2 or 3%, sometimes by 7%. Sequence risk is the bad luck of needing to sell investments right when the market is down, which can permanently dent a retirement plan. None of that disappears because the man drives a Camry. Discretion is a discipline, not a shield. Here's the one behavior worth changing this week. Just one. Stop performing money. For 7 days, don't post anything that signals what you have or what you spent. Don't drop a price into a sentence. Don't show the receipt. Don't take the photo with the bag in the corner. Notice what comes up. The urge to broadcast is louder than most people realize until they actually stop. And the urge is what's been keeping the spending high. Then, before the next purchase over $100, ask one question. Would this still feel worth it if nobody, not one person, not a comment section, not a future dinner story, ever knew about it? If the honest answer is no, that's not a want. That's a signal. Put it back. That single filter, would he still buy this if nobody ever knew, is what the quietly rich apply by reflex. They've just been doing it so long they don't realize it's a filter anymore. Most channels in this corner of the internet are loud about money. This one isn't going to be. If quiet is the lane that makes sense to you, the subscribe button does the rest. No pitch beyond that.